Tonight, concerns over a lack of candidates in the upcoming local elections. Is voter fatigue to blame? And cold and nutritious, the oceanographic phenomenon, bringing more marine life to the Great Australian Bight.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. There's just 1 week left to nominate for the South Australian local elections, but there are serious concerns some councils may not get enough candidates to stand. Meanwhile, the Deputy Premier is worried about low voter turnout and has also flagged abolishing the elected seats on the landscape councils.
Local councils around the Spencer Gulf are now in caretaker mode as the countdown to the local elections continues. But halfway through the candidate nomination period, Flinders Ranges Council is on edge about a lack of candidates vying for seats.
It's one of those situations where when things are going really well, not everyone's putting their hand up. If things aren't going well, everyone wants to help or change. And this year, we used to post nominations up on our notice board, but we're not allowed to do that anymore, so we won't know who's actually nominated until election time.
The Deputy Premier admits voter turnout in this postal election could be low due to election fatigue.
Worried that particularly in a year when we've already had 2 elections, that in local government people might just opt out.
The Deputy Premier has also flagged abolishing elections for the landscape councils, citing a tiny voter base and the overall costs.
It's going to cost around $1 million to do, and that's $1 million of landscape money that could be spent on the environment and on primary production being sustainable.
Council nominations close on Wednesday, September 7th at midday. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
South Australian cabaret performer Hans, who was scheduled to perform at next month's Broken Hill Festival, will finally be airlifted to London tomorrow. It's after being badly injured in a shocking fall on a cruise ship off the coast of Turkey last week. Performer Matt Gilbertson plunged 4 metres into an orchestra pit when part of the stage went down when it shouldn't have. Royal Caribbean Cruises is investigating whether a mechanical malfunction or human error was to blame. New research has uncovered why the eastern Great Australian Bight is attracting a range of marine life. As cold water rises towards the surface via upwelling, rich nutrients are being brought to the surface.
A mystery to uncover what lies beneath. The Great Australian Bight is seeing a range of phytoplankton emerge to the surface, rising from deep within the ocean. Called upwelling, new research suggests this seasonal phenomenon is fueling a rich production of nutrients in the bight.
We're trying to understand the functioning of coastal upwelling systems, particularly in the eastern Great Australian Bight, because it's such an important region for fisheries and tourism, everything like that.
Data gathered via satellite imagery is suggesting that the Great Southern Coastal Upwelling is one of Australia's most productive ecosystems, attracting whales, seals and bluefin tuna.
We've also got that subsurface data. So the satellites, they can only see up to about 10 to 15 metres, but it's like a surface skin signal. It's not actually looking at the whole water column.
The research also highlights how climate change impacts upwelling of the Great Australian Bight, and how marine food chains survive even in the years where there is no phytoplankton.
There's multiple things that happen in a system, and if we have the end goal of sort of understanding how these systems will adapt to climate change or changing climates, you first need to understand actually how that system's operating.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
In AFL Broken Hill, the Lionel Johnston Medal honours the best player in the competition. Some win it once, some twice. But North's Jaden Kelly, he's just bagged it for the 7th time.
Celebrating the best players of the season. It's grand final week in the Silver City, the first since 2019. And after the past few years, players are happy there is a final series this year.
To not get results when you do all the hard work through the year, I think all the boys will say it's pretty shattering, but to really crack in this year and get to the end, which unfortunately we didn't get there.
Kelly has now won the medal a record number of times and has battled it out on numerous occasions with South's gun player Mark Purcell. A rivalry that's not just limited to the football field, but one built on tremendous respect.
Yeah, I've got an enormous amount of respect for Nug. He's an absolute jet, and he's going to win plenty more of these as well.
The women's best and fairest, the Jan Corey medal, was also won by a familiar face, Central's Shelby Raven, claiming the gong for a second time.
I wasn't expecting it, so it was a bit out of the blue. But yeah, great. It's good for going into the weekend in the grand final.
The only thing missing now is a premiership medal, which Ms Raven can hopefully add to the trophy cabinet on Saturday, when Central take on South.
Really excited. We obviously haven't had a grand final in 2 years with COVID and all that.
Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, the Eyre Peninsula Community Foundation on the lookout for charitable organisations to support in the EP. And a mixed medium art exhibition in Port Augusta prepares to wrap up before hitting the road on its way to Whyalla. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News. SAPOL now has the power to immediately disqualify the licence of a driver if they're found to be committing an extreme speeding offence. It follows laws that were passed in state parliament in December last year. Extreme speed is defined as driving more than 55 kilometres an hour above the limit in a 60 zone or 80 kilometres an hour above the limit in a zone marked 60. The Eyre Peninsula Community Foundation has officially opened this year's Community Grants program, and they're on the search for local charitable organisations. Funds will be awarded to projects that support long-term community development.
The Eyre Peninsula Community Foundation once again reaching out to those who need it most, now launching their 2022 Community Grants program.
The beauty of the grants is whilst it might be just a small amount, it's the right amount and it makes all the world of difference for the projects that it reaches.
Grants range from $500 to $2,000 and have been helping communities across the Eyre Peninsula since its inception in 2008.
A heap of projects. For example, last year we provided some funds for the Cleve Men's Shed to help them with equipment. Also for the Riding for the Disabled, we provided some funding for some equipment from them as well.
The funding will aim to support projects which work with minority or disadvantaged groups.
It's in the not-for-profit area that we're looking for, and often organisations that are volunteer-led. And we're not against providing for new and innovative programs which do strengthen each community.
The Foundation's still welcoming donations, hoping to build upon its corpus, making programs like these possible.
I certainly look, as you know, we run a number of programs, but building the corpus is the main priority for the directors of the Foundation, because that money, which is donated into the corpus, stays there for perpetuity.
You can jump on the Eyre Peninsula Community Foundation's website to apply. The grants program will remain open until 5 p.m. on Friday the 23rd of September. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The art group Fibre Space is wrapping up this year's exhibition in Port Augusta, with the textile creators holding a meet and greet. The exhibition has proven to be a major success before heading down to Whyalla.
Taking art on the road. Mixed mediums, exploring different perspectives and artistic expressions. The pandemic disrupted Fibre Space's 25th anniversary celebrations. But now, the organisation's tour has resumed, with textiles prominent at the Yalta Pertley Gallery.
We've had quite a good feedback, so it's good to be able to introduce people to a new art, well, not a new art form, but this art form, because we don't get a lot of that in this area. So it's been good to know that people were interested and enjoyed it.
Chronesthesia was this year's theme, detailing mental time travel and allowing for a tremendous variety of art and designs, plus displays for the quarter-century anniversary.
Behind me is tactility, which was one that we had ready for COVID, and it was also to be a feelable thing for people that were attending, but couldn't do that, of course, so that's just the artwork that's on the walls now.
There's just one more day to catch the free roving exhibition in Port Augusta before the crew packs up and moves to the next destination in Whyalla.
Next exhibiting place will be Whyalla Art Gallery, Darling Terrace in Whyalla. That'll be there for a month as well. So it'll be there from the 12th of September until the 14th of October.
Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. After the break, young performers in Broken Hill perfect their routines ahead of this weekend's Stedfords. And coming up to finals time, it's a time to reflect for the Spencer Golf Football League. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News this Tuesday. There'll be plenty of talent on show at Broken Hill's Stedford this coming weekend. Not only will there be singing and instruments being played for the crowd, but drama performances as well.
It's a welcome return to the stage for one of the country's most well-known festivals, the Stedford.
Oh, it's really exciting because we've had a break of 2 years and there's been nowhere for people to perform, so it's really good that it's back.
Like most things, it was cancelled for 2 years running, even when it looked like it would still go ahead last year.
Last year we sort of had it on and then we had to modify it and then we had to finally, sadly, cancel it. So this year we are finally here, which is really good.
It's the 51st Stedford in the Silver City, running from Saturday through to Tuesday, with the Monday one of the more popular days.
We usually get that because it's the school choirs and we get a lot of parents and grandparents and other people in for that. So it's always been a very, very popular day.
And has everything from individual musical performances, school choirs, through to speech and drama as well.
They do like prose, recite things, mimes, act out things, and then on Wednesday morning is actually their school choirs again, but it's verse speaking. They come in and recite poems.
The performances start at 9 a.m. and it will cost $4 at the door, with children under 12 free.
And there's tickets at the door. It's $4 for each session, so $4 for morning and afternoon, cash only, and there will be a program you can buy, and plus there will be a raffle.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
With finals about to start for the Spencer Golf Football League, organisers say 2022 was a challenging year for the competition. Crowd restrictions had a knock-on effect throughout the year, not to mention the need for more volunteers at matches.
It's finals time for the SGFL following a season dogged by a number of challenges.
I think it's been a challenging season for volunteers. As you would know, a country football league relies heavily on volunteers and there are less volunteers around, less people willing to umpire. So it does put a lot of pressure on clubs to be able to facilitate this and get people on the park.
Crowd restrictions at the beginning of the season in the aftermath of the pandemic saw fewer people attend the footy as they shied away from public spaces.
It's been a long season in that manner and our volunteers are getting tight.
Meanwhile, West Augusta Football Club is already planning for 2023 following their poor season in the senior division.
At the end of the day, a strong junior grades create strong senior teams and if you look straight to our 15s and our 18s and the success that they're having, that comes on the back of the junior development that we're seeing. So moving forward, we hope that more in-house players sort of develop and start taking those places in the league team, and it won't be long for us to turn that around.
Finals round 1 starts with the Solies taking on Proprietary this Saturday, then South Augusta faces Port on Sunday. If you're thinking of volunteering for the footy, a new season is the perfect time to start. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Annabelle Francis brings us all the volleyball and netball scores ahead of finals. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News. With sporting competitions wrapping up throughout the region, the cream is definitely rising to the top. And as we saw in Broken Hill a little bit earlier, the best athletes are being recognised for all their hard work. Annabelle Francis reports.
Netballers in Port Pirie and Port Augusta battled it out over the weekend, each player eager to make it to the final leg. The preliminary final took place on Friday at St Mark's between Blue Wren and SM Celtic. Blue Wren have been the best team all season, sitting top of the ladder, while SM Celtic have won 5 games, sitting 4th on the ladder. Both teams performed well, but Blue Wren were too good, winning by a strong 20 points, securing themselves a spot in the grand final on Saturday against Central Risdon. With both teams winning 10 out of 12 games, it should be a fierce match. Meantime, netballers in Port Augusta entered their first round of finals over the weekend. The qualifying round was between Vikings and Railways, and 1 point made the difference, with Railways taking the win 41-40, securing themselves a position in the grand final. The elimination final was between Magpies and St Joseph's. This match wasn't quite as close, with Magpies taking the win by 17 points. The final score reading 54-37. St Joseph's played their last game of the season, and the Magpies will battle it out with the Vikings next week for their one-way ticket to the grand final. A lot is riding on this weekend's games. To volleyball now in Port Pirie. In the A-grade match between CTTPE and Mad Lads, CTTPE took the win for love. The scores were 20-25, 15-25, 20-25 and 9-23. The best CTTPE players were Josh Ross and Michael Jamison. Daryl Jebb, Bella Ohms and Cale Ganley all named as the top players for the Mad Lads. In the B grade, it was EBN's versus Wrong Direction. Again, one team dominated, with Wrong Direction winning for love. The best players from EBN's were Ryan Pohl and Georgia Piper. From One Direction, it was Charlie Connolly and Molly Lavis, who impressed the most. That's it for Sportswrap this week. We are always looking to report on different sporting results. If that's you, get in touch via social media.
Thanks for that, Annabelle. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, it's been a long winter, but spring is just around the corner.
It sure is, Maddie. Thursday is the official start of the new season, but will spring bring us some warmer weather? I'll let you know in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at some of today's temperatures. It was 16 degrees in Port Augusta this afternoon, while it reached 15.5 degrees at 12:47. 14 degrees was the top in Port Lincoln. Looking more broadly at today's map now, 17 in Cooper Pedy and Broken Hill, which is a fair bit cooler than the weekend's temps. Port Pirie reached 16 degrees at 1:16 this afternoon after an overnight low of 9 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a high pressure system centred over the Bight will move eastwards to be centred over eastern Victoria later tomorrow. A weak cold front will move over the southeast corner of South Australia on Thursday ahead of a second high pressure system that will develop south of the Bight by Friday morning before moving slowly eastwards to be just west of Tasmania by Sunday night. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Variable winds below 10 knots, becoming southwest to southeasterly 15 knots north of Cow to Wallaroo, sometime in the late afternoon and evening. Seas will be below 1 metre and south to southwesterly swell around 1 metre, reaching up to 2 metres. Between 6 and 16 degrees in Port Lincoln tomorrow. Cloudy conditions, some partial cloud coverage in Cleve, also heading for a top of 16. Partly cloudy and set to reach a top of 18 degrees in Woodner after an overnight low of 3 degrees. Mostly sunny in Wowell is set to reach a top of 18 degrees there. Blue skies in Port Augusta, 21 degrees, down to 3 tonight though, and partly cloudy and 15 in Kadina. Port Pirie mostly sunny and 18 degrees, down to 4 tonight, between 2 and 14 in Clare. Partly cloudy conditions there and light winds around Broken Hill, but other than that, it'll be sunny and 17 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, Thursday, the first day of spring, partly cloudy conditions just about everywhere. Temperatures between 16 and 20 degrees in most places except for Cooper Pedy, which will be a sunny 23 degrees. Port Lincoln, the only centre on our map with a high chance of rain falling. Showers most likely in the late morning and afternoon, heading for a top of 16. Moving on to Friday's forecast now, temperatures between 14 and 19 19 in the cities around the coast. Partly cloudy in Broken Hill, 16 degrees with some southerly winds up to 30 kilometres an hour. And finally, taking our first look at Saturday's outlook, spring appears to have sprung. 19 and sunny in Port Augusta, sunny and 16 in Broken Hill for the local AFL Grand Final, 18 in Woodner and Port Pirie, 16 in Whyalla, cloudy and 15 in Port Lincoln. And that's all the weather from me for tonight, Maddie. I'll see you soon with an update. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Tuesday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your evening and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.